Yo, just a quick disclaimer. In my personal opinion, the beat that I made for today's video is fucking mid. Also, I say autumn and summers a lot, but it's really just an autumn type beat. I looked more into summers, and he really just does not fit the descriptions. You can just ignore that. The last disclaimer, this is influenced by a lot of the other plug NB and autumn type beat tutorials, so it is going to follow a similar format. If you're watching this video and you've already watched other videos, it's probably just going to be something similar to the other ones. Shout out to everyone who did it first, and with that out of the way, let's get in the video, guys. Peace. Alright, yo, what's up, guys? It's me, Shadow. We're back again for another tutorial video. This week, we're going to be going over how to make an autumn type beat. Yeah, we're going to be basically going over how to make like a plug NB type of beat. That's what people call it. Before we start this video, can we try to get it to 50 to 100 likes in the first week? That's going to be the goal from now on until we start to get like a bigger community going around on the channel. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button. I try to post these videos every Saturday at 6 p.m. Yeah, and with that, guys, let's hop into how I made this beat. Alright, guys, before we break down the actual patterns that went into making this beat, we're going to set the BPM to 150. Plug NB beats, summers, autumn, all the beats that are used in this genre are really pretty mid-range. You know, sometimes they can be really high, sometimes they can even be low, but for the most part, I'd say like pick a mid-range, like 130 to 150 for your BPM. And with that out of the way, let's get into the sound selection for this beat. Okay, so most of the sounds that I used in this beat were in the Gucci kit, like usual. Every melody sound that I used was in Purity, and I will, to the best of my ability, help you guys find alternative plugin to use, because I know Purity is a paid plugin, and not everyone has the money for that. I really don't like tutorials that use all paid plugins, which is why I try to give alternatives, like free alternatives, when I'm making my tutorials. Alright, guys, so basically we're going to start off with the 2020 hi-hat, then the generic clap, then the Joker snare, then we got the Phantom snare as well, then we have the hardest spins 808, finally the Molly kick. Now that the drums are out of the way, I'm going to go over the presets that I used in Purity. Starting off, we have Vintage EP2. This is just a generic Rhodes keyboard. Alternatives to this would be like, I think honestly FL Keys would be the best alternative to this. I know that there's a Rhodes piano in there, and there are so many free piano plugins. Just Google like free piano plugins on YouTube, FL Studio or something like that, and you'll get a bunch of them. Rhodes pianos are not hard to come by, but it sort of sounds like, oh shit, what did I do? Yeah, it's gonna sound like that. So guys, that was the Rhodes piano. Next, we're gonna go into lead synths and do the simple sine lead. Yeah, simple sine. If anyone knows where to find like sine leads in other plugins, then like comment that below, and I'll try to like pin it or like respond to it or something like that, so everyone else can see. Then we have a second lead called simple pulse. That's about it. Then we have this bell in Bells and Perks called Same Feel 1. Bells and Perks are usually in like a lot of plugins. Try like Sakura, Citrus in FL Studio, maybe like Tyrell N6 if you want to have like an external plugin, or you could just like crack stuff. But like you didn't hear that from me. That was like not me telling you to do that. And then finally we have Choir Strings ENS in the string section of Purity. Basically just a string, violin string. I'm pretty sure you can find this in Citrus and Sakura as well. You know, obviously this plugin. Why would I even say that, bro? No shit, it's in this fucking plugin. So guys, that's gonna do it for all the sounds that we use in this beat. Now we're gonna break down each individual pattern and the mixing for how I made this beat. Alright guys, starting off we have the chords. Okay guys, so basically I don't know shit about music theory. I'm sorry. If you want to know more about music theory or how to make chord progressions, I suggest watching someone else. With these plug beats, you want like not very complex at all. I mean, you can see here it's literally just 4 chords throughout the whole beat. And yeah guys, that's really all I could say about the chords. Alright guys, after the chords we have the strings. Super simple, didn't layer them, didn't like play chords with the strings or anything. It's just a single note. And yeah guys, basically I'll play this out and you guys can sort of hear what I did. And actually, this note technically should be over here. Can you fucking be quiet when I'm speaking? But I moved it over here because it was like doing this weird like delay thing where it was not playing immediately, so I had to move it back. Basically, just make this in key with your chords. I actually laid these notes over my chord notes and then just move them up an octave. That will help you get things that are like in key with whatever you're creating. And yeah, that's gonna do it for the strings. Now we're gonna move on to the bell melody. This is just gonna follow the chord progression as well. Same thing with the strings. I didn't move these up an octave, but these notes are just notes that are already in the chord progression. And I mean, use your ear obviously to see if they're gonna sound good, but this is what it's gonna sound like. But yeah, basically that's what it's gonna sound like. That's what it's gonna be. Just sort of follow your chord progression, run some notes over the chord progression, and you'll come out with a melody that you're gonna like. Alright, next up is gonna be the first lead. This is super simple. It's super quiet in the beat actually. This one's really just to add a little bit extra to the beat. I'll just play it out. The chords and the strings are sort of to set up the basis, the bells, and this first super quiet lead is sort of just to add a little bit of spice to it, and then we're going to move on to what the main melody is going to be. Alright guys, this is the main melody. Again, with everything, I'm following notes that are already in the chord progression, and this is sort of meant to be the main melody, like what everyone's ears are going to fixate on, so you want to make this sound super like catchy and simple. But yeah, I'm going to play this out so you guys can hear it. Alright, you know, super repetitive, super simple. I'm saying simple a lot. I'm sorry if I'm saying simple a lot because this might be complex to some people, but that's why I'm making this video. Alright guys, now that we covered the melody, we're going to move on to the drums, starting with the hi-hats. This is something really unique to the plug-in beat type beats with Autumn and Summers and stuff, is they don't do a two-step hi-hat pattern. They put notes in between the two steps. I don't know if that would be a one-step. It probably isn't. I'm making myself sound really fucking stupid, like I always do in these videos. But yeah, this is what it is. This is what the pattern is going to look like. I'm going to play it, and then we're going to move on because it's really not complex at all. Moving on to the clap, also super simple. I'm not going to too much about this. You know, the claps just hit on the 2s and 4s literally pretty much every beat. Maybe not depending on the BPM, but you guys get it. I'm going to move on from the claps. Alright guys, this is the first snare pattern. It's going to sound like this. There's actually going to be a second snare pattern. It's going to look like this. Again, just to accent the claps, I thought I'd put 2 snare sounds in there just to add a little bit more diversity into the beat that we already have going. In total, all the snares are going to sound like this. Alright guys, moving on from the snare, we have the kick. Nothing too crazy. Just max out the velocity on your kicks. Make sure that they're hitting as hard as they can. And I'm just going to play the pattern and then talk about it afterwards. Alright, the fuck was that noise, bro? Bro, I sound like a robot there. Alright, so basically for plug beats, the 808 is not too crazy. It's not going to be like a fucking little darky beat or a fucking NascarAloetypebeat where the 808's like fucking... It's going to be there. It's not going to be like super far back in the mix. I'm just going to play this real quick and then talk about it afterwards. Alright guys, so basically the 808 is going to hit where the kick hits. But you know, it is going to be like, you know, hitting hard enough that you're going to be able to hear it in the mix. Alright guys, now that we've broken down every pattern, I'm going to go over the structuring. The structuring is not too crazy. This time it's going to be a 16-bar intro. First 4 bars are just the chords. Then we're going to bring in the first lead. Then we're going to bring in the bells and the strings, the hi-hat. And then at the very last quarter, we're going to bring in the clap. This is pretty simple for the hook. The hooks and verses are both 16 bars, so that's really simple. For the hook, everything plays, and in the second half, I just brought out the hi-hat, clap, and snares just for like a little bit of movement when like whoever's on the beat is actually, you know, using it. For the first and second verse, they're exactly the same. It's just going to be the chords, bells, and the first lead. Then the second lead is going to come in for the second half. The first snare pattern is going to play throughout the whole verse. And then the second snare pattern is going to come in at the very end. And right before the hook comes back in, I play the clap just for a little bit of like, you know, like it's going to be like, bah, and then it's going to drop. And then it just repeats. The very end is going to be all the melodies slowly being taken out. I play the 808s, I play the kicks, I play the snares, and I just automate the master volume so I could sort of, you know, have the beat drag out like, you know, slowly and smoothly. And yeah, that's going to do it for the... Alright guys, enough of that stupid shit. I'm going to go into the mixing of the beat and then we're going to wrap this video up. Starting with the master channel, Fruity Soft Clipper, Fruity Limiter. I didn't take the limiter off this time because I wanted to sound clean. Soft Clipper is just to make everything in line. For the chords, I put a Fruity Parametric EQ, just took the lows out. Fruity delay, these time settings, and I tuned the knob down to 18%. Fruity reverb, default settings, tune the knob down to 67%, and then a sound goodizer on A with these settings. For the drums, for like the hi-hats, claps, snares, I didn't really do anything for those mixes. For the first lead, another EQ, I did this weird effect here. I mean, you can see what it looks like. Default reverb, bring the knob down to 60%. And then another EQ where I took 4 and I really dropped it down. I really dropped it down in like the 400 to 500 frequency because it was just really bothering my ears in the mix. And I did bring the volume up because it was super quiet. For the second lead, another EQ, take out the lows, another reverb, default settings, bring the mix down to 46%, and then a destructor with a lo-fi setting. It's just sort of a thing that I do in a lot of my beats where I like destructor bit crush things. You don't have to do this for your leads, but I just did it because I thought it added a nice little spice to it, you know. For the bell, again, take out the lows with an EQ. Reverb, default settings all the way up, and then a delay with this time setting, and then I brought it down all the way to 13%. For the string, another EQ, take out a lot of the lows for the strings, and then a reverb with default settings all the way up. For the 808, just a soft clipper, brought the volume down because it was hitting a little bit too hard in the beat. For the kick, just a soft clipper, and then I click on the kick, and then I go to the 808 and I click the arrow down here. This isn't what sidechaining actually is, but this is just what I do in my beats because I personally think they sound good. And that's actually going to wrap up the mixing for the beat and the entire video. Alright, yeah guys, that's going to wrap up the mixing and the entire video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, don't. Comment below some other video ideas that you want to hear from me. I'm sort of running out of ideas. Try to comment below some artists that you're interested in seeing that have like a little bit of buzz around their name. You know, hit the subscribe button if you want to see these videos. Keep up with me. I post these every week. And yeah guys, that's going to do it for the video. Peace.